Welcome to WakeGOV TV. I'm Eric Curry. We have several stories lined up for you today. We'll share with you tips on making sure you stay protected when you're outdoors during the winter months. Plus, we'll update you on what's going on with improvements at the North Wake Landfill facility. But first, if you didn't know it or not, this is the time of year we must begin to deal with colder temperatures and, unfortunately, days of inclement weather. Along with having to add coats and scarves to our wardrobes, this is also the time of year that brings the greater potential of health-related problems. One way to prevent illnesses is to protect yourself by getting vaccinated, and it could protect you and your loved ones from an assortment of illnesses. With us to talk about the benefits of getting vaccinated is Joanne Douglas, Administrative Coordinator with Wake County Human Services. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
What are vaccines and why are they so important?
Vaccines are a way that we deliver immunizations to the body to protect us from communicable diseases. And immunizations are very important for individuals to protect yourself from a whole list of diseases, from hepatitis B, measles, mumps, rubella. And it also protects our family and our community. When we have a well-immunized community, we protect each other.
Now, we hear a lot about vaccines for children. Are they safe and effective?
Yes, they are. They are safe and effective. Millions and millions of children receive millions of doses of vaccine every year safely and keeping them healthy and protected from disease. And while we don't hear about all the success that vaccines provide, we do hear some controversial topics where vaccines are concerned. And we tell patients to ask your doctor, be skeptical, ask questions.
What about adults? Anything new out there that adults should be aware of?
Oh, yes. We say that vaccines are not just for kids anymore, and that adults should be asking questions of their providers when they go in for physicals about what they need. There's vaccines for shingles, also tetanus and pertussis. This is especially important if you're a grandparent or a caregiver of a young child that can't receive the vaccine themselves. You protect them from whooping cough disease. Pneumonia is another that we associate flu and pneumonia together, especially for people 65 and older. And if they're going to travel outside the country, we're hearing about polio. So adults definitely should be assessing their records and asking questions of their provider.
Another segment of community that could receive these vaccines and it would be helpful, pregnant women?
Indeed. Pregnant women. There's a recommendation now for the Tdap vaccine. It's tetanus and pertussis for women that are beyond their 20th week of pregnancy. Flu vaccine is recommended for women that are going to be pregnant during the flu season, and it's strongly encouraged that they receive that.
When we're in the midst of the flu season now, how is that going in regards of folks coming in, getting their shots?
Very well. We've had a good demand for flu vaccine at our health department. I hear in the community that they're really giving the vaccine. This is a perfect time of the year to receive it. It takes about 2 weeks to give you immunity. And you know, it's the holiday season and you're going to be around maybe extra people traveling out in the mall. So you want to be protected before you go out there and are in large groups where the flu virus spreads very easily. And the flu vaccine protects you for the entire flu season.
Let's say someone is watching and they're interested in trying to find out any special programs in the community that deals with immunizations, or are immunizations available at Wake County Human Services?
I'd like to tell you about, we're very fortunate in the United States and especially in North Carolina to have the Vaccines for Children program. So this program works with the CDC to provide immunizations for children under 19 years old that maybe don't have insurance or their insurance doesn't cover the full cost of immunizations. They're Medicaid eligible or they're from certain ethnic groups. These vaccines are provided at no cost to the child or to the parent, and they're available at the health department. They also are available at most pediatric provider offices.
And a phone number for folks to get in contact with someone?
You can call the main line at 919-212-7000, and they'll put you in touch with a clinic that's close to you. Or you can check the website, WakeGOV.com, and we have a section for health clinics and health information that I hope will help people get what they need.
Joanne Douglas, Administrative Coordinator with Wake County Human Services, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Up next, we'll share with you the latest news about Wake County's Cooperative Extension Program. Stay tuned.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Welcome back. The North Carolina Cooperative Extension Wake County Center aligns local programs, resources, and efforts with needs and priorities identified by Wake County youth and adults, local advisory councils, Wake County leaders, and the Board of Commissioners. Joining us today to talk about the Wake County Cooperative Extension is its director, Catherine Williams. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Eric.
You were selected into this position earlier this year, and while you're new in this role, you're not new to Wake County.
That's right. I'm not new to Wake County or to Cooperative Extension. I actually served as the 4-H Youth Development Agent in Wake County for about 20 years, right here in this community. And I also, in the last 5 years, was tapped by our Human Services Director to help lead the Human Capital Campaign.
Now, when I hear about cooperative extension, there are a lot of positive responses, but there's so many diverse programs, services that the extension offers. Can you share a little bit about what cooperative extension is to those viewers that aren't familiar with your office and what they do?
Sure. So Cooperative Extension, Eric, represents a partnership between local government, state and federal level funding. The federal funding is through the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and our state funding comes through our land-grant universities. So in North Carolina, that of course is North Carolina State University and also A&T State University in Greensboro. And the extension program was developed to provide research-based information that has an impact on issues that are relevant and important to all North Carolinians, and in this case, to all of our citizens in Wake County.
And mentioning that, what are some of those specific programs that work well in Wake County?
Cooperative Extension has 4 major program areas, and that includes agriculture, natural resources, 4-H youth development programs, family and consumer sciences, and also community resource development. And what we do in Wake County is we look at the resources and the expertise that's available to us through the UNC system and really try to align that with priorities locally. So in Wake County, that really translates into 4 things where we're focused. So in ag and natural resources, for instance, we continue to support sustainable farming efforts, which are still really important to our economy and to our way of life in Wake County. We really support water quality issues and dealing with stormwater runoff, which is one of our biggest issues in this community. We also have a really strong consumer horticulture program that is very popular in our community. I would say another big program area for us is human capital development, and that's where we coordinate our positive youth development programs, family development efforts, where we really focus on supporting families, and then also a lot of work we've been doing with financial literacy. In addition to that, we have a strong focus now aligned with the county's Healthiest Capital County campaign. We do a lot with health and wellness issues. We try to link farmers with vendors who want to provide increased access for healthier food. So whether it's a restaurant or really promoting our local farmers markets, we have projects to bring local foods to child care centers and work to train farmers so they're certified and can provide safe food even to our school system.
Well, Catherine, before we close, how can viewers find out more information about Cooperative Extension in Wake County and some of the services that may be able to help them or someone they know?
I would say, first of all, please call our office if you'd like to get information. We have a reception area that's manned between 8:30 and 5:15 daily, and that number is 919-250-1100. And then also, the Wake County website, WakeGOV.com. You'll find a link on there to our local Cooperative Extension office.
Okay, Catherine Williams, Director of the Wake County Cooperative Extension Office, thanks for being here.
All right, thank you.
Wake County has partnered with Duke Energy Progress to install vehicle charging stations across the county. We'll have more coming up. Stay tuned.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
As part of the Electronic Vehicle Supply Equipment Load Research Project, Wake County is partnering with Duke Energy Progress to install vehicle charging stations at several county locations. The purpose of the project is to better understand the utility impacts associated with electronic charging.
So the stations behind me are actually part of a large-scale load research project at Duke Energy. They are part of a larger grant, a smart grid investment grant that we received several years ago. The actual objectives of this project were to better understand how people use electric vehicles, when they need to charge them, how long they need to charge them. And when we receive this information, we're able to better figure out, okay, how do we help support electric vehicle owners in the future when they need charging, whether it's in public or at their home, or maybe it's even at their workplace.
Well, we wanted to partner with this project because it was an easy, low-cost venture for us to join with Duke Energy. It was an ability for us to install multiple charging stations at a very low cost to the taxpayers. It also has given us the opportunity to look into adding electric vehicles to the county fleet. It's the green initiative that is a push for finding ways to bring about transportation in a more fuel efficient, less pollution to the environment. So the ability to bring about hybrid electric vehicles and plug-in electric vehicles has been a goal for the county. This has given us another opportunity to expand our current direction of our electric hybrid vehicles. And so this has just given us another opportunity to do better for the public and the taxpayers.
I decided to buy an electric car because there was a great tax rebate and incentive between the federal tax rebate and the incentive with Advanced Energy, Nissan, and the Department of Energy. It was a no-brainer for me. And then with all of the electric vehicle infrastructure going in, it made it that much easier for me to decide to buy my Leaf.
So for the stations that are in the public space, we actually rely on host sites, customers of ours, whether they are in the commercial space or municipalities or counties. So Wake County is an important partner here in this effort. They actually have 3 different sites. We have 2 stations at each site. That's 2 libraries and a parking deck in downtown Raleigh. We actually choose the host sites based on several different criteria factors. We look at things such as how long somebody is normally parked at a site. So for example, the library, you would imagine they might be here for 30 minutes, 60 minutes. Depending on what they need to do, and we think that's plenty in order to top off their vehicle, so there needs to be a certain amount of time that they're parked. We also look for factors such as easy access, is it visible, are they near highways, are they in the regions which we consider to be high density for electric vehicle adoption. And we also look at just the history of the partner. Are they a partner that is interested in doing new alternative energy programs and efficiency programs? If you look at plug-in electric vehicles, they really provide several benefits for the customer. The most important one is the fuel savings. You can save about 75% on fuel savings. So that adds up to $8,000 maybe over 5 years. So yes, the vehicles themselves are a little bit more expensive up front due to the technology, of course. We're in the very beginning stage of that. But if you look at the total cost of ownership, you pretty much today could break even on many of the electric vehicles compared to the conventional vehicles today.
Electric vehicles make a whole lot of sense for the consumer. First of all, you have the economic aspect of it. You have the $7,500 tax incentive. That rebate helps tremendously. Also, you're not buying gasoline on a 100% electric battery vehicle. I haven't purchased gas since January of 2012. I love driving past the gas stations. I'm very excited to find that the county has put in 3 new stations. The more electric vehicle charging stations there are, the better.
Wake County has been a supporter of the electric vehicle initiative here in Wake County. Our goal is to help to bring more charging stations to the surrounding area for the public.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
The North Wake Landfill, located in North Raleigh, was the primary source of municipal solid waste disposal from 1988 to 2008. The landfill was closed in the spring of 2008 and no longer accepts solid waste. In 2005, in preparation of the closure, the county hired a consultant to facilitate a public planning process and produce a master plan for post-closure use of the landfill property. Joining us to talk today about the latest improvements to the facility is John Robertson, the Wake County's Solid Waste Management Director. Thank you so much for being here.
Good to be here.
What is basically the latest as it relates to what citizens are already enjoying post-closure of this facility?
When Wake County closed the landfill in 2008, as you were mentioning, we began the process of planning a park, and that park has been installed, been in operation for a number of years now. It's one of the few Wake County parks that's surrounded by residential, so it gets a lot of walk-in use as opposed to all the drive-in use that most of our other parks require.
Now let's talk about what's now about to happen at the facility.
J.M. Thompson, who is a contractor that we've hired through a bid process, is starting construction, had started in the month of November with some utility relocation work. That work is coming to a close. They're now beginning to get into building some replacement park facilities that are associated with our relocating the existing convenience center. Convenience center number 7, which is at this location, is our heaviest used convenience center of our 11 that we have in the county. And we made a decision within the last few years that we really needed to improve, and the only really way to improve that site was to relocate it.
So why is the relocation necessary, and how will this improve, which is always the ultimate, providing the best quality service to the citizens?
Yeah, great question. Wake County, when most of our convenience centers were built, all 11 of them, they were built from the late 1980s to the early 1990s. 1 or 2 had seen some improvements since then. But as you know, the population for Wake County has changed substantially from the late 80s till 2013. With that growth has come a lot more use of our facilities, and our facilities are just, many of them are not built to handle the amount of use that they. So the goal here is to create a larger facility, a facility that has better access so that we can handle that increased volume.
And where is that convenience center being relocated?
Basically, relocation is probably a strong word. We really aren't relocating it very far. It's on the same property, right adjacent to the North Wake Landfill. Currently, the current site is just off of DuPony Drive after you turn on there from Durant Road on the left-hand side. We're basically moving it a few hundred feet further into the site.
Now, some would say, that are using the park facility now, some will say, well, where will I still be able to park so I can walk or even ride my bike up to the top of the landfill hill?
Yeah, another great question. I forgot to mention, as part of relocating the facility, the relocated location is where we currently have some of that parking for people that want to go to the top of the hill. We are building replacement parking once again for that. And by doing so, we're separating the solid waste facilities from the park facilities, which will allow us to sign things better, will allow people to be able to figure out exactly where to go.
Now, will construction force the temporary closure of the convenience center?
No, it will not. That's one of the keys to our relocating it. We initially looked at what it would take to simply expand the existing site, and pretty well for that same reason of not wanting to close it at any time, relocation was a better idea.
And how long will it take before the final construction is complete and we're up and running with a new and improved facility?
They started construction in November. It's a 6 to 7 month construction window, so we're expecting to be open late spring, early summer of 2014.
Okay, John Robertson, Wake County's Solid Waste Management Director, thanks so much for being here.
Glad to be here.
When we return, we'll share with you some important tips to make sure that you're safe and your family members are safe during this upcoming winter season. Stay tuned.
The next 30 seconds can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto-sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
Welcome back. If you are a longtime resident of Wake County, or if you've just been living here for a couple of years, then you understand that you can expect an array of weather patterns to come through this area. Joining us to share tips to keep you and your family safe during this holiday season and winter season is Jeffrey Hammerstein, District Chief for Wake County Emergency Medical Services. Thank you so much for being here.
Morning, Eric.
You guys still remain very busy during the winter months because there are a lot of folks with misconceptions about some of the injuries and illnesses that can come up on you during the winter season. Can you talk about some of the common injuries that you see during the winter months?
Oh, absolutely, Eric. You know, someone may not realize it, but hypothermia is actually one of the things that we see most often. Now, when you use the term hypothermia, a lot of times you're thinking in terms of someone trapped in a snowbank for a few hours or something. That fortunately, that's not apt to happen around our area. But what we do see with hypothermia are people that don't necessarily have the means to keep themselves as warm as they need to. Now, we may be referring to people who have no homes or people living in homes that were inadequately heated. So that's a common thing. As we get older, our bodies become less and less able to insulate and hold in the heat that we generate. So what may be surprising to some is that we could be talking about hypothermia in relatively mild temperatures.
And, you know, when we talk about those that are outdoors for short periods of time, let's say maybe it's to work on the car or possibly even out shoveling snow. Even during those periods of time, there's a lot of folks that aren't paying attention to what their body is telling them.
Certainly that's true, and I think with shoveling snow, and there again, we don't have to deal with it too often around here, but shoveling snow can really be a very strenuous activity. So it's not necessarily uncommon to see somebody who is susceptible to having a heart-related issue or a respiratory-related issue understand that you can really be pushing it a lot. If you need to take a break, take a break. The snow will be waiting for you when you come off break and you can finish shoveling. The other thing that we really see a lot of in the winter months are those slips and falls. Here in our area, we know it can be warm one day and cold and icy the next, and it can kind of sneak up on us. So on those mornings that we get up and there's ice on the front steps, ice in the parking lots, we go to one right after the other where people have stepped out, slipped, and fallen on their front steps, gotten out of the car in the parking lot at the office and walking across the lot, slip on an ice patch and go down. That's a really common thing, and we see a lot of it.
What are some of the things that folks should do to prepare for the elements outdoors before they head out?
I'd say layered clothing, dressing warm enough, fitting your dressing to what your activities are going to be. If you're going to be out doing something athletic where you know you're generating a lot of heat, you're much less apt to be in a situation where you're going to have a cold or frostbite type emergency. On the other hand, if you're going to go out and walk trails for several hours and it's really, really cold, then you definitely need to be conscious about, are your feet warm enough? Are they staying dry? We know that if body parts are getting wet, they're losing heat much, much more quickly.
Also, talk about some of the injuries resulting, let's say, from kids going out wanting to play sledding.
You know, we talk about bicycle helmets when you're riding bicycles. When we were kids, that wasn't as much such the cool thing to do. We see it, fortunately, more and more, and it's absolutely vital. We talk about helmets with skateboards and rollerblades and that type of thing. It's not a bad idea to have on a bicycle helmet if you're out sledding.
Unfortunately, the winter weather also causes a number of traffic accidents. What are some of the tips you have for motorists if they are involved in such accident?
Absolutely. You know, anytime there are icy roads, we're going to get out, law enforcement's going to get out and plead, please stay off the roads. It's a predictable message, but it's one we still are compelled to get out and say because everybody doesn't necessarily heed that. If you are involved in an accident, it makes sense, particularly with slick conditions, it makes sense to stay in your car, turn on your hazard lights, and call for help.
And Jeffrey, what are some tips to possibly help citizens avoid being involved in such accidents?
Again, like so many things, I think awareness is the most critical part. Again, we talk about our environment around here. If we had inches of snow for months at a time, people could get acclimated to that and learn how to drive on that. But we see our warm and then cold and warm and cold, and it's not uncommon at all in this area for us to have just the icy bridge or just the icy slick spot in a particular area. We know when we get up in cold conditions in the morning that there are going to be hazards, and we just have to drive accordingly.
Okay, Jeffrey Hammerstein, District Chief for Wake County EMS, thank you so much for being here. That's all for our show today. Keep up with the latest Wake County news by visiting us online at the new WakeGOV.com/news or on Facebook or Twitter. That's our show for today. Thanks for watching.